Hello, this is my recap for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. In 1988, a kid named Peter Quill watches his mom die of cancer and gets abducted by an alien group called the Ravagers. That's pretty dark when you remember that it's a comedy movie. The Ravagers' leader, Yondu, raises Quill to become Star-Lord, who steals a powerful orb on planet Morag in 2014. Peter manages to escape an evil Kree guy named Ronan, who sends assassin Gamora to steal the orb. Yondu places a bounty on Pete that gets picked up by Tree Person Groot and Cyborg Raccoon Rocket. On planet Xandar, Pete tries to sell the orb, but gets into a fight with all three hunters and the four are detained by the Nova Corps. Gamora betrays Ronan, and the four team up with fellow prisoner Drax to escape. They make it to nowhere, which is actually somewhere, and try to sell the orb to the Collector. The Collector reveals that the orb is actually an Infinity Stone called the Power Stone. Unfortunately, Ronan shows up, and Gamora's sister Nebula distracts the heroes while he obtains the orb. Pete promises to give the orb to Yondu if the Ravagers help them defeat Ronan. Meanwhile, Ronan betrays his master Thanos, Gamora's dad, and prepares to destroy Xandar. Luckily, the Guardians of the Galaxy show up and fight Ronan, whose ship crashes into the planet. Groot sacrifices himself to protect the Guardians from the crash. Luckily, the Guardians are able to take the Power Stone and use it to vaporize Ronan. Quill tricks Yondu and gives the stone to the Nova Corps. The Guardians regrow Groot and help a race called the Sovereign in exchange for Nebula. The Guardians soon betray the Sovereign, who give chase. Luckily, a random guy saves them and reveals himself to be Quill's father, Ego. The Sovereign hire the Ravagers to capture the Guardians, but they only capture Rocket before Yondu's lieutenant, Kraglin, accidentally starts a mutiny against him. Kraglin and Groot rescue Yondu and Rocket, and the four destroy the ship. It turns out that Ego is actually a celestial and a living planet. Gamora and Nebula befriend each other and find out that Ego traveled the galaxy trying to make a child who would inherit his celestial powers, but he killed the kids after they didn't. Luckily for Ego, Pete has the powers, and Ego trains him so that they can take over the galaxy together. Kraglin, Groot, Yondu, and Rocket reunite with the Guardians, and Ego's telepathic servant Mantis warns them of his plan. Meanwhile, Pete finds out that Ego planted the cancer in his mom's brain. The Guardians detonate a bomb in the center of the planet, destroying Ego. Mary Poppins, Yondu, sacrifices himself, allowing Pete and the Guardians to escape. Gamora and Pete become a couple, while the Sovereign create a being called Adam Warlock to destroy the Guardians. Thanos decimates Xandar and steals the Power Stone. He later destroys an Asgardian ship, obtaining the Space Stone. The Guardians find the ship's wreckage and rescue Thor, who leaves with Rocket and Groot to get a new axe. The other Guardians go to Nowhere, where Thanos gets the Reality Stone and captures Gamora, who he kills to get the Soul Stone. The Guardians and Nebula then go to planet Titan, where they meet Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. Thanos arrives on Titan and defeats the heroes to get the Time Stone before leaving to Earth. Thor, Rocket, and Groot fight him there, but Thanos is able to get the Mind Stone and snap his fingers, turning half of all life in the universe, including Groot, Mantis, Drax, and Pete, into dust. Iron Man and Nebula make it to Earth, and Thor kills Thanos. 5 years later, Nebula, along with Rocket and the other Avengers, time travel to stop Thanos. Unfortunately, she gets captured by the 2014 versions of Gamora and Thanos, who use her tech to travel to the present and wreak havoc. Luckily, Hulk brings back the dusted victims, and Gamora turns good, meeting Pete for the first time. A battle against Thanos ensues, with Iron Man sacrificing himself to dust them. Thor joins the Guardians, and they have a few adventures before he leaves to fight Gore the God Butcher. The Guardians buy Nowhere as their new headquarters and are joined by Cosmo the Space Dog. To cheer Pete up on Christmas, Drax and Mantis kidnap Kevin Bacon, who helps them celebrate before returning home. Mantis reveals herself to be Ego's daughter and therefore Pete's sister. That is the full recap for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Coming soon.